those weak job numbers in Canada. 25,000 jobs lost in January. The unemployment rate dropped, but that was simply because people stopped looking for work. Let's get perspective from Earl Davis, head of fixed income and money markets at BMO Global Asset Management. Earl, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What do you think was important in this jobs report?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Andy. You know what? I'll start with how the Bank of Canada looks at it, and then we'll break it down into the important pieces this year. Having said that, when you break down the number, it's not as clear. And the reason why is that 25,000 was broken into two parts. Your part-time jobs were down, let's call it almost 70,000, but your full-time jobs were up 45,000. That's a split that the Bank of Canada will not mind. And by definition, the full-time jobs are people employed throughout the year. When part-time jobs include like seasonal jobs, you know, Christmas sales workers and the like. So the split of 45,000 full-time jobs being created is very good. So that kind of offsets the headline. So let's call that neutral. The second thing the Bank of Canada will look at is the unemployment rate. That dropped to 6.5%. That actually decreases the chances of an ease because it says employment is getting better. There's less unemployed people. Having said that, when you look under the hood again, it's not as clear. The reason why it dropped was not because of increased job creation, but because less people looking for work, as you mentioned before. The question is, why are less people? So again, although 6.5% is increases or decreases the chances of easing, the under the hood says, okay, that's neutral. And the last thing the Bank of Canada will look at is, what is wage inflation? Wage inflation, again, came in much lower than expected, 3.3, I believe, versus 3.7%. The Bank of Canada will like that. They want to see lower inflation that increases the chances of an ease. Having said that, we're still above the higher end of their range of 3%. So all in all, Bank of Canada on hold. They still have flexibility to ease later in the year. And that's what we just got to look at more data and look at the U.S. unemployment data next week.
Why would people have been dropping out of the labour force or stopping their search for work, Earl?
Yeah, there's a few reasons. One, it could be not disgruntled, but frustrated job seekers in regards to maybe they're looking for a manufacturing job, and you saw the numbers there. So just because they're not getting any leads, they might be frustrated and go on the sideline. Another reason might be education. Maybe people are going back to school. That would be a good reason, you know, to retool the skill sets. So again, you got to look under the hood, see what the catalyst was. That's one of the things our team will be doing this week, just to see what the big driver of that is. That's where we have the biggest question.
What is your overall view, Earl? If you had to come down on a most likely case, how many cuts do you think the Bank of Canada will be forced into this year, if any?
We think one cut at most right now. We used to think up to two cuts, but again, the GST rebate is stimulative to the market. We're also very constructive on the U.S. market. An interesting fact, tax receipts in the U.S. for the month of January was a $60 billion surplus. That just speaks to the underlying strength of the U.S. And, you know what, despite the uncertainty, if the U.S. does well, we will do all right.
This massive drop in manufacturing jobs, or let's say a nasty decline, is that likely to be a 1 month phenomenon? I know that's a very hard prediction to make.
Yeah, no, it's not a hard picture to paint. It's going to be until Kuzma is settled. Until those trade negotiations are settled, we will probably see we won't see growth in manufacturing job, and we'll probably see continued weakness. And the reason why is there's no medium or large size companies investing in manufacturing plants right now because they do not know the rules or economics of the investment. You will have a better sense of, you know, what revenues could we expect in the next 3 to 5 years once you know what the agreement is between Canada and U.S. The reality is when a lot of larger companies come to Canada to create jobs or build manufacturing plants, they're not just thinking about Canada. They're definitely thinking about Canada, but they're also thinking about the U.S. and the possibility of exporting there. So until we get some clarity there, we expect to see, let's call it malaise in the manufacturing jobs. So that's not a surprise. We're not like that number wasn't a surprise to us. It won't be a surprise to the Bank of Canada, but that's what we're waiting to see until we get settlement there.
So you think that Canadian 10-year bonds, for example, look like a reasonable buy right now?
Yeah,